So this is a meeting of the Virtual Board of Civil Authority. And today is July 15th, 2024. And for the record, if people could go around and just say your name.
Reva Seabold.
Amy Record.
Nicole White Fogarty. Peggy Darrow. Bonnie Strout.
Pat Barnes.
Andy Wasserman.
Gene Kraft. So we're here today. I did not bring the agenda, but we're really to reorganize and elect a chairperson, and also then to review board rules of procedure for property tax assessment hearings, which we have one coming up, and just talk about what that's going to look like and make sure we cross all of our T's and dot all of our I's during the hearing. I did hand out copies for those who didn't have. Do you have copies? Didn't have a copy. This is based on the Vermont League of Cities and Towns model rules of procedure, so you have them. And what we would do first, I believe, is entertain a motion to elect a chairperson for the oncoming season.
I nominate Pat.
We have,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have this one.
Well,
Too much.
Mr. Barnes and Pat Barnes is gone. Too bad he came to the meeting. Are there any other nominations?
Peggy Darrow.
Bonnie Strout nominates Peggy Darrow.
I'll second it.
Okay.
You better not do this very often.
All in favor?
Aye.
So for the record, since we are on a Zoom, can we just go around the room and I'll call your name and you can say aye or nay. Reva Seabold,
Yes, aye.
Amy Record,
Yes, I.
Nicole White Fogarty,
Aye.
Peggy Darrow,
Abstains.
you can abstain. You can vote for yourself. Bonnie Strout,
Aye.
Pat Barnes,
Aye.
and Andrew Wasserman.
Aye.
Is nominated as chairperson for the Board of Civil Authority. So Peggy, the beauty of this is that now you need to lead the meeting.
What?
You need to lead the meeting.
Oh, I thought you said I had to leave the
Yes,
meeting.
so-
Great.
so excited.
Sorry, let me work on my enunciation. You now need to lead the meeting. So really some boards do elect a vice chair, in case there's something happens to you and you couldn't attend a meeting, but I believe you are available and that you will be available for the hearing
For this one,
on Wednesday.
assuming that my car gets, well, anyway, if like,
So we'll come and get you.
yeah, somebody will come, guys.
I'll come get you.
Okay. So anyone have the agenda?
The agenda for this meeting.
Yeah,
Nicole might.
You emailed it out?
I did, and it's on the website. It's on the town
Okay,
page.
I can pull that up. What do you have it under? You know, what
It's
is
on
it
the
listed?
town clerk's site. It's under a blog post left on the town clerk. Or what?
think I'm gonna move in here. Do you want that? Very good.
Like the chairperson review grievance hearing process and adopt the procedures. So those were the three things we had on the agenda. So, has everyone had a chance to review the procedures? Did you have any questions for Peggy?
I
It's
will direct
basically-
those questions to Jean.
It's basically what they went over in our training, right?
Yes. Basically.
So,
If you want, we can just read them out loud so they're in the record.
well, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so number C, on this, the chair shall conduct all appeal hearings in the following sequence. And we get to C, and it's ask, wait a minute. No, yes, C, ask the appellate if they have received a copy of these rules and procedures. Who is going to be delivering rules and procedures to the appellant?
Once we adopt them, I will
Right.
email them to
Okay.
Mr. Fernandez.
May I ask a question about part L? It says appoint an inspection committee.
Yes,
Is that necessary or if needed?
apparently it is required. So, so the way I understand it, and Reva, they talked about this.
Yeah, they
in
talked about it in
training,
the training.
that, he, typically, the requirement is he's grieving his assessment, right? And and the party will present that evidence at the hearings and ask to present evidence. But part of the completion of the record is for a committee to go and actually inspect those premises. If an assessment is based on land, you get to look at the land. If it's assessed on land and a house, we look at the land and the house. And we would not submit a response or a finding or ruling until after that inspection took place. So
So
yes,
can
there
we-
would
can
be
we-
an inspection committee.
Can we do the inspection before? I mean, I know it's Wednesday, so that hasn't come out, but we can't do it before.
You could withdraw it. I think that you can do it. You have to do it afterwards. And then I think there's a 15 days from the deliberative session. You would then, yeah. So recess to a date and time not more than 30 days from the hearing to accept the inspection committee report, and then a decision after that within 15 days. So it can be a lengthy process.
So we have to inspect it enough before 30 days so that the inspection committee can write a report to get it to us by a meeting in 30 days.
Yes.
What are you inspecting?
So, well, we're having, on Wednesday, we're having a grievance hearing.
Right.
For a person who's grieving his assessment.
Yeah, it's the Richardson place.
Oh, I know. I
So-
lived there for 7 years. I
So
know
the,
it is.
so the report is based on that assessment and then our review of the property. And we'll take testimony from the listeners also during the hearing. They are an opposing party, if you will, in this proceeding. It's a quasi judicial proceeding.
I mean, I guess there's the possibility that, for example, some building had, was taken down prior to whatever April 1st, when the evaluation is supposed to be done,
There
right?
wasn't though.
Hmm?
There wasn't though.
No, but I'm saying, I mean, why would one inspect would be if there'd been some change.
So if there
Uh,
had been a change that would affect the assessment,
Right,
that say the listers or the NEMRIC team missed
Right,
while they were there.
right, right,
Then the inspection team would report it.
right,
Say,
exactly.
yep,
I mean,
there was, in the assessment, they said there was this building and there was no building.
Right,
And that just becomes a piece of fact
yeah,
that's reported back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be taken into consideration, I'm sure.
I can't think of what else one might, that we would inspect.
I think we inspect it so we understand what we're
So make sure we're
ruling on.
talking loud enough to be heard on the recording. Just, I'm sorry, we're all.
Yeah, my
we're
sense
soft-spoken
was from the
people.
training was, so we have a sense of what we're talking about. So we're not just making up, where we
Right.
actually see it.
Well, I was gonna say two of us already know what we're talking about.
I mean,
So
I've
live
been there
nearby.
too, but,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
we're live in a rural
in a
community. where-
different, we're in a different category of looking at it at this point, yeah.
Yeah, we are looking at verifying the information that is on their assessment,
Right.
basically. Did that answers your question?
Okay,
You think,
thank you.
Floyd? So you'll see that there on page 1, I'll just mention that there, and under procedure number 3, there we can set an amount of time for each hearing. So we could say it's 45 minutes long, an hour long. In a lot of towns, they have 100 to get through, and so they sometimes divide and conquer and set up separate hearings with different groups and set the limit of the meeting so it doesn't go on and on and on. And I don't know if you want to consider that. I believe I was considering that the meeting would be an hour on Wednesday for the
So
hearing.
what are you referring to?
Under procedure number 3, there's a blank there. Each BCA
Oh,
meeting
with
should have an agenda
blank
prepared by the
minutes,
clerk with
okay.
blank minutes allotted for each hearing.
And can we change that from hearing to hearing? If we suddenly get a flood, we could dial that back from 60 minutes down to something smaller? Or are we committing?
Are we committing
You
us forever
can.
to this?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, what would happen is that when you open your hearing or your meeting, you would have to,
Declare that.
yes, you'd have to, open a meeting, vote to change the procedures, accept them, and then move forward from there.
well, I would suggest on number 3, we make it 45 minutes now, and we can always make it go longer. But the
Okay.
problem would be if, next year we end up having 3 of these.
Can we make it go longer?
I think that if you're in a meeting and you set it for 45 minutes and the board wants to extend it, that they could end
They
the
could.
meeting. They could say, is there a motion to extend
Right,
the hearing
right.
time
Yeah,
to an
I
hour?
think one could extend the meeting. I don't know if one could shorten it.
I don't think you could shorten
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. It would be better to have a shorter time there,
it. Okay,
to have it like 45 minutes, and then we can extend it if we need it.
okay. So we want to put 45 minutes in there? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Okay, by me, do we need a motion for that or?
Well, I think what we're going to do,
We're gonna accept the whole
go through the
package.
procedure, you're right, and then we'll vote on the whole thing. So if there are any other,
And that's 45 minutes from when we actually start.
yeah,
Not-
45 minutes.
If we don't
allotted
start
for
at
each
6
hearing,
o'clock, say we don't start till 6:10,
and we would end at
45.
6:45.
yeah, okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
But it may not be in sequence, so you can just let me know. I have a question about what's relevant to this case and what's not relevant to the case.
So I think before we are not at liberty to discuss the hearing until the hearing starts. So if you're talking about just irrelevancy in general,
Yeah,
well, any evidence that either party, the listers or the assessors present, which goes toward the value of the assessment of the property, we would entertain that evidence And if it's redundant, or if a party keeps going over the same thing,
No, I
the chair has the
understand
power to say, we've heard all that information, and we're gonna move on.
But I do have, I do have a question on the effect the valuation on their property has had on the town as a general rule. Like their property being one of the most valuable properties, they had a huge increase because they paid that price for that property.
So let's stop for a second.
We can't talk
Because
about
when we start talking about people in particular, then we are talking about stuff that we'll talk about in the hearing. And if you don't mind, you mentioned it before, why don't we hold that for the moment and finish the procedure
Sure.
question?
No,
And then we'll move from there.
I
Peggy,
just
does that
wanted
make
to know if
sense
it's
to
gonna
you?
be relevant to.
Yeah,
bring that up.
and I want to just remind people to direct your questions to Peggy, because she's the chairperson. And if she wants to defer or have someone else answer the question, then she would then say,
So I
Gee,
would
what
say
do you-
something
would you
that
say
would
that?
be irrelevant would be somebody who coming in and saying, I just lost my job and I can't, I'm not gonna be able to pay taxes on
Yeah.
this. And that would not be relevant.
Might be.
so there are some
That's a
things.
different hearing.
Yeah,
That
so
would be a
that-
different
that's-
hearing.
That would be
right.
an abatement.
That would be an abatement hearing, not a property value. I mean, that
Right.
would not affect the property valuation,
I see.
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
It's the person's
Oh,
financial
yeah, yeah,
status.
yeah. That's,
Okay. So, does someone want to read this into the minutes? Nicole, you
I'd
have
be
nice-
happy to.
Good.
Would you like me to start at A?
I would.
All right.
Okay, right, Chair?
Okay, start at A, Pat.
I'll start even above A.
We
The
could just,
Berkshire
we
Board
could
of-
pass it down, you could do B and I.
Berkshire Board of Civil Authority, Rules of Procedure for Property Tax Assessment Appeal Hearings. Part A, Purpose. The Board of Civil Authority, BCA, of the Town of Berkshire is required by 32 VSA Chapter 131 to conduct appeal hearings of Lister property valuation decisions. The purpose of these rules is to establish uniform procedures for conducting such appeal hearings and to ensure compliance with Vermont's open meeting law. Part B, application. These rules of procedure shall apply to all property tax assessment appeal hearings conducted by the Berkshire Board of Civil Authority. A copy of these rules shall be provided to the Berkshire Board of Listers and to each party bringing an appeal before the BCA. Part C, procedure. The chair of the BCA, or in the chair's absence, the vice chair, shall preside over all tax appeal hearings. If both the chair and the vice chair are absent, a member selected by the BCA shall preside over the hearing. The chair may make motions and may vote on all questions before the BCA. The chair shall rule on all questions of order and procedure. 2. Pursuant to 24 BCA paragraph 801, a quorum of the BCA shall be any 3 or more members for a tax appeal hearing. The act or decision of a majority of that quorum shall be treated as an act or decision of the full BCA. 3. Each BCA meeting shall have an agenda prepared by the town clerk with 45 minutes allotted for each hearing. All hearings shall be conducted in the same order as they appear on the agenda, except that by a majority vote of the BCA members present, the order of hearings may be modified. 4. Appellants shall submit 3 copies of all documentary evidence to the BCA. The clerk shall mark all documents submitted to the BCA with appropriate identifying information. 5. The chair may exclude any irrelevant, unreliable, or unnecessarily repetitive evidence. Relevant evidence is any verbal testimony or document that tends to demonstrate the value of the property subject to appeal. Reliable evidence is any relevant evidence commonly relied on by reasonably prudent people in the conduct of their affairs. 6. The chair shall conduct all tax appeal hearings in the following sequence. A. Open the hearing, stating the name of the appellant, property location, and parcel ID number. B. Ask the appellant and listers to take the following oath. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? C. Ask the appellant if they received a copy of these rules of procedure and whether they have any questions about how the hearing will proceed. D. Request BCA members to disclose any conflict of interest and/or ex parte communication. E. Ask the listers to introduce the property on appeal by describing the property and its present valuation. F. Ask the appellant to present their valuation and supporting evidence. G. Ask the listers to respond to the information presented by the appellant. H. Invite questions from the BCA members. I. Ask the listers to present their evaluation and supporting evidence. J. Ask the appellant to respond to the information presented by the listers. K. Invite questions from the BCA members. L. Appoint an inspection committee of 3 BCA members to inspect the property at a date and time set by the chair and report its findings back to the BCA. M. Recess to a date and time not more than 30 days from the hearing to accept the inspection committee report. N. Reopen the hearing at the date and time specified. O. Invite the inspection committee to present its report. P. Invite final questions from the BCA. Q. Invite final comments from the appellant. R. Invite final comments from the listers. S. Close the hearing and explain that the BCA will enter a deliberative session and will issue a decision in writing within 15 days. 7. Each property shall be subject to inspection by a site inspection committee of not less than 3 BCA members appointed by the chair. The site inspection committee shall report to the board within 30 days of the hearing. If, after notice, an appellant refuses to allow an inspection of the property as required by 32 BCA 4404 Part C, including the interior and exterior of any structure on the property, an appeal shall be deemed withdrawn. These rules may be amended by a majority vote of the BCA members present.
Thank you, Pat. Chair, I was thanking Pat for reading, going through that exercise.
Thank you, Pat. Very nice and clear.
I was gonna say, I motion for the BCA board to accept these rules of procedure.
I second.
Could I, before we vote, ask, the rules of procedure here, C is asking the appellate if they received a copy. There's nothing in here that asks the listers if they received a copy.
No, and that was not in the,
I mean, I know they will have received a copy, but
right.
do
We
you
could amend
think
it,
we
put it
need
in
to
there.
put that in there?
Is it necessary?
They didn't include it, which means I think the
Okay,
necessary.
okay.
Um,
It just seems, I mean, we have 2 parties here, and in every other instance, they're being treated equally. First, the appellate presents his case, the listers respond, we question.
Yep.
Then the listers present their case, the appellant responds, and we question. Maybe we should say, ask the appellant and the listers.
Yeah, we're at liberty to modify these in small ways, correct?
We can.
Then Peggy, I second your suggestion that the part C or item C, ask the appellant and listers they have received.
Right, so I am proposing an amendment to Nicole's motion, that we amend part
6C?
6C as Pat stated. Do I have a is there a second for the amendment?
I second it.
Would it help to read that part again as modified?
Sure.
So ask the appellant and listers if they've received a copy of these rules of procedure and ask whether they have any questions about how the hearing will proceed.
That meet?
What?
Does that meet what you were
Yeah.
thinking?
Mhm,
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Shall we vote?
Andy second
Andy seconded the amended
amended.
motion.
motion to
Okay.
mine.
And who moved first?
I seconded yours.
So it started with my move of the whole
Nicole
thing.
moved to accept,
Reva seconded it.
and that was a second.
And that was-
there
and then-
a-
and
there
there's-
was a motion to
Amend.
Amend.
and that was on Peggy.
And then it was seconded by Andy. You can ask if we're all in favor.
Okay, so.
So do we need to go
do we
around saying
vote?
our names?
All in favor, we'll now read the roll. Rita Seabold,
Yes. Aye.
Amy Record.
Yes.
Cole White Fogarty,
Aye.
Peggy Darrow,
Aye.
Bonnie Stroud,
Aye.
Pat Barnes,
Aye.
Andy Wasserman.
Aye.
Aye.
Good job
I
calling
have-
everybody by name.
Question. Just a quick, so is Vern the only member of the BCA is not here, so this is it, except for Vern?
Oh, no.
It's just the select board and the justices of the peace, right?
Right.
Five of us and two
Yeah,
of the
Vern is the
selectmen.
only one that's.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm going to recommend then, you move to accept them as amended. Chair, I would like to have reprint these with the amendments as proposed. I have made notes and written them. And then if I could get your signature on them
Sure.
first thing tomorrow, if I can get them
Okay.
to
Can,
the parties.
I am not sure when I'm gonna have a car.
Okay.
Um,
Then I'll run them
Hopefully.
up to you.
I was gonna say, hopefully I will have a car sometime tomorrow. But I mean, tomorrow morning, who knows? I don't
If
know.
I have them ready in the morning before I go into work at 8:30.
That'd be great.
Before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we can run into the town center and find it.
It's only requiring the
Oh,
the
you.
chair
Oh,
and
chair.
my signature, so.
Okay.
we're
Oh,
good.
chair, I
If
see.
you guys are good with that.
Okay.
On
Got
the
it.
top, we'll make those.
Good.
And you can sign it in the morning, I'll bring it.
Okay, that'd be great. I have to get the oil changed because I'm going on a trip on Thursday and I don't know if the car's going in tomorrow, if it's going in Wednesday, what's happening
I
with
had
the
a
car.
question, would be any value to talk about who the three people are who are gonna go to the site thing beforehand? She's gonna ask who, and we just all volunteer, or how does it?
Well,
In the meeting, ask,
yep. we
appoint an
could-
inspection committee of three, so would it be better to figure that out before the meeting?
I think that, I don't know for sure, if that violates any rules, it doesn't seem like it would.
Okay.
Because you could already have in mind who your inspection. And they will have already known then, that they would be the members, so. It might feel like it's premature. I think we don't do anything that even smack of already talking about the property or having some an idea ahead of time.
Okay, I just
I think
figured
we
she
should
might.
wait. I think we should
Yeah,
wait. But Peggy,
wait.
you could have in your mind, who you think you would like to. And that's gonna be a matter of, and more importantly, maybe in your mind is to set a date. Figure out what that date would be within the 30-day window of the inspection.
Is that 30 days or 15? I thought it says that we would.
30 days for the inspection and 15 days
after
after that to submit.
Well, it's not 30 days for the inspection, it's 30 days until the next meeting.
So you have 30 days in which to have inspection and then.
Get it.
And report on it, and then have the second meeting. So, I mean, we can't have it be 30 days from the. because-
So this feels to me like it contradicts. So the last one on C says
close the hearing and explain that the BCA will enter deliberative session and will issue a decision in writing within 15 days.
Right.
That's after the second meeting.
So there's
After
three,
the
there's
second
three steps. There's the
Okay.
hearing,
Okay,
within 30 days of the hearing, there's the inspection, and then
Okay.
within 15 days of that coming together again after the inspection, the decision has
So-
to be rendered.
so, but it's not super clear in these procedures, I mean, because it's, because under, it's under the procedure, this is all about how we're conducting the meeting.
But they're in time,
Right,
they're in
right.
time order.
Right, right.
They're in time
So,
order, so
yeah,
you
the,
got the 30
This is
days and then you go to.
okay, so M is recess.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
M is recess.
Okay.
And we have to have a date and time not more than 30 days from the end of that hearing
Right,
to
you're right.
accept the inspection
You're right,
and
it does say
committee's
that.
report. So
Okay.
the inspection has got to happen
15
enough
days,
before that
Mm-hmm.
so that the committee can write a report and get it to us,
Right,
if everybody follows this.
right.
And the inspection committee, sorry for bringing this up, there's 3 members.
Yeah.
If there was a sense that more than 3 members wanted to attend?
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That goes under 7.
It's
No,
not less
okay,
than.
thank
Not
you,
less
thank you
than.
for catching that. Yeah, I was thinking that was BCA
Yeah,
members at
yeah.
the hearing.
Yeah, so
Yeah, got it, thank
And
you.
we set the date, 30-day out date, with the appellant and the solicitors have to be able to come. So we set that date at the meeting, this meeting, and say, okay, the 30-day out meeting is
It'd have to be
August
before
15th or whatever it is.
Yes,
August
right.
16th, yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be actually 30, I mean, it could be sooner than 30
No, but I mean,
days.
we set
Right,
the
exactly,
meeting.
yeah, yeah,
On Wednesday night for the next
right,
meeting.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Right.
The appellate show up at that meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, they present their evidence.
On the-
Right,
on
he
the-
can,
They're
it can,
part of that next
yeah,
right,
meeting.
exactly.
Would be at the meeting and would
On
hear when the
Wednesday.
dates were set.
Right.
They're coming
No, I
over.
mean,
the
the
planning
appellate
said
would
they
be at
didn't
the
have to.
second
They
meeting,
They
it
don't
says,
have to.
right.
They don't
Invite final comments,
Is the
right.
appellant coming in this case?
do the hearing?
Yeah.
I have not heard yes or no. But they know when it happens.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I-
they can
I've got
send their
no-
representative, they don't have to
They
come
could send
themselves.
their
So
lawyer or any other representative.
I still have a question. If I don't really care, I mean, I care about this property to talk about it on Wednesday night, but Wednesday evening at 6, right? But my question really is that if a property has impacted a lot of other property values in the town, very seriously, significantly, then, and those people purchased a property at a price that significantly impacted a lot of our values here. Like, I spent a lot of time talking about a particular property that had a certain value, and it impacted a lot of people. And I was very upset about the fact that that's what that was. Then I think these people have a responsibility to then take responsibility for the fact that now they want to lessen the value of their property, which impacted all of us,
This
Let's say
is- we
whoever's
can't-
property.
We can't talk about
No,
this.
we're not talking about that. If it was a hypothetical situation, let's just
Right.
say.
It's irrelevant.
It's
It's
not
irrelevant.
irrelevant.
No, but it's irrelevant to, what, I
To
understand
what?
it's irrelevant to
To the
the
hearing,
process we're in here.
right,
The
right.
process we're in here is they have to come up and prove that it's, that they.
I don't
see
know if
different
it's irrelevant
listers.
because it's impacted our community in a major
But
way.
in terms of this, it's irrelevant.
Right, right, it is irrelevant in terms of
Am I
us
correct?
I
deciding
don't know.
if
I don't know.
on the
Did any of you
valuation
go
of
to
their
the
property.
training? Did any?
But
Yeah,
if you went to that training, that seems narrow to the implications of what this property value of this circumstance
It's
would.
only, it's only this, that's another issue that maybe somewhere else, but
So I think that we're getting into the weeds, Chair.
Yeah,
And again, I want to make sure that we are not talking about anything to do with this upcoming hearing outside of the hearing.
Okay, I
Right.
got it.
right,
And there should be no discussion between any members
Okay,
of the property.
no, I
and
understand
the
that.
Potential with any of the witnesses, with the lister, with the member
Okay,
people,
fine,
with each
okay.
other. There shouldn't be any discussion at all before the appellant and the listers present their
Your
evidence.
case, right?
I
right.
guess,
And
okay.
and that's the evidence, and the report from the inspection committee that we would make our decision upon.
That's
Do-
right.
right.
And Andy, if you have a question about something in particular, whether a particular assessment impacts or impacted the entire town, the question is really going to be from, the board members will be asked if they have questions of the appellant and the listers. And that's an appropriate time to ask a question. Because then those are the people who can then answer definitively whatever the question is.
Okay, the reason I was asking was not to bring it up particularly as a case. I'm just wondering in this particular, like, I mean, Riva just said, like as a point of clarity, you know, in a situation like that, is it even relevant, you know?
You could still ask a question.
And if you ask a question, the board could say that it's in the chair's opinion that question is relevant. I don't know that you would, but
I think I would.
it's important to understand that you need to just wait to ask that
Yeah.
question.
That
Ask
would
the question of the
be
people who
something
are
I would think to talk about with the listers in general, in terms of how they evaluate property.
But you still have the right to ask the
Right,
listers. in
you
the
could
meeting.
ask, yeah.
I wouldn't do it beforehand.
Yeah.
No.
no.
I'm just saying that okay, I'm close to this argument, but I do feel that there is a consideration in a general situation where the burden of a particular property value has impacted a lot of people. And now the property value wants to change after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of,
understand your question.
is that, you know, it does seem to me it pertains to the problem, but, you know. but
Well, I
can
was
also-
going to say that, I mean, it is an overall consideration, but we have to judge it on the basis of the evidence that we are given. And, you know, so how the listers evaluated this property and how they came up with what their evaluation is, and the, you know, what evidence the appellant is presenting that the lister's valuation is wrong, presumably that the property is not worth what the listers say it's worth. But, you know, it is a bit ridiculous. Well, anyway.
It's very narrow. All
Yeah,
we're doing
yeah.
is looking at what the listers say and whether what they say and do they prove the listers wrong.
Right,
basically.
right.
They have to prove
Yeah.
the listers wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
In some way that we think is appropriate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They presumably
Sure,
can't
yeah.
come in and say we paid too much for this property.
So just know, one, this is a question that is worth asking certainly of the listers and
Right,
the
right.
Nemrick folk, how they came up with their assessments in general. And,
Right.
and what is the process in which the entire town's assessments were
Right,
impacted by any one particular assessment?
right.
I think is a reasonable question.
Yeah, yep.
But I know in general, assessments that have been going forward in multiple Vermont towns, not just Berkshire, are driven by the common level of appraisal across the board in the town, and that is based on more than just one land sale. It is based on a large number of sales that have occurred over a 3-year period, and those percentages, my understanding is their percentages are supposed to be aligned with the whole reappraisal process.
Yeah, I mean,
I think on average, 166%.
one can see how when there are a small number of sales and one is outsized, it could have a disproportionate impact. It certainly did, yeah.
Having worked in the office and seen probably transfer tax returns that come through, this was not the only outside sale.
Well, it was the one
There
that
have been
abundantly
there are a
stood
number
out.
of them in the 3-year tax, 3-year sale. So, anyway. I think too, sure, if it's relevant, I think there's always been a question, people come in and say, my assessment doubled and my taxes are gonna be through the roof.
Right, the people always say that, and they don't
Your
understand how the taxes are set.
Are based on a budget passed, and if your property value, if all things remain the same, the budgets are the same next year as they were last year, the amount of taxes raised on your property is going to remain relatively the same.
We don't know about the school issue
We
yet, do
don't know
we?
about that one.
Yeah.
You don't
So
really know
let's
the
just
answer to
get
that
in
question.
mind what we are going to need to do at this meeting. Okay, so just, have it we have it all in little letters here, but just in general terms, that the, first of all, the listers will, presumably we'll all, we'll introduce ourselves. It doesn't say that here, but we will, presumably. The listers and the appellates will take the oath. And the listers will introduce the property, describing it, and what they said its value was. And then the appellate will present his evidence that, of what he thinks the valuation should be. And the listers will respond and we can ask questions. And then the listers will present their rationale for their evaluation, and the appellate will respond and we can ask questions. And then we appoint this 3-person, presumably, committee to view the property. And we set the date for that viewing, with presumably we would need the cooperation of the appellate, particularly if we want to get into the buildings or the house. So we need to have a date that's going to work for everybody. This isn't something we could do by bashing the door down or something. So we set a date for the inspection. We set a date for our next meeting, and then we recess. Then the inspection committee goes out and does its inspection. They write a report, and there's a model of a report in the handbook about grievance procedures that was in the material that came along with the training, which I think I have downloaded somewhere, so I can, if whoever, when we have that committee, I can try to find that and make a copy for everybody. And then they write that report and present it when we reopen the hearing. The inspection committee makes its report. If the appellates and the listers have anything more they want to say, but we're going to tell them to shut up. And then we'll close the hearing and go into a deliberative session and issue a decision. Is that?
That's a lot to do in 45 minutes.
No. That's two. We've got 3 meetings there.
Okay.
So the first meeting stops at recess. Stops at M.
But we still have to set dates and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
too, so
yeah, exactly.
That's in
Yeah,
that first meeting.
Well,
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
have to extend it probably.
we'll see. Well, it depends how
I'll
much.
happily be a timekeeper.
Well, it depends how much evidence everybody has got,
Well, that too.
presumably.
So
And I
this-
will try not to let people go on and on and on over that. I have experience as history department chair. Got to bring the boom down, when people start making the same argument over and over.
Yeah.
So you said you hadn't heard from the appellant yet. No. So if they don't show, do they get a second shot? If they call Wednesday morning and say they want, blah, blah, blah,
No, they don't get
What
any second
happens if
shot.
they don't show, or they don't send somebody, or if they tell you that morning?
Still consider there was a piece of evidence that was submitted to start the ball rolling.
Yep.
And we'll have that.
At least, okay.
So you still have to go through the process. I think,
Yeah.
as if they were there.
So that piece of evidence we will see Wednesday night. Is that right? Yeah.
So the
Whatever it
only
was.
time any case would be considered withdrawn is if they decline the committee access to the property or building. Based off of what's on 7. Looking at the agenda, it appears that we've covered all 3
Yes.
topics.
So,
Motion to
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn, yes.
Second.
That's you today.
So Nicole White, motion to adjourn.
So if you don't mind, if you want to go in
Second,
and
Barbara.
file a complaint, that will then put it in
Can we
the
do this by a voice vote?
I'm happy just to
Okay,
talk
all in
about
favor
it.
of adjourning?
I think we should.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Well, this way here, this allows us to stating your claim, why, and then giving us the opportunity, because it's not something we're going to be able to discuss tomorrow night.
No.
Okay, but
I
this
know,
would at
no,
least
this
get
is
it, and
long
we'd have,
term.
this would get it, so we have the record
Oh,
of
by
it, and then we
tomorrow
can look
night.
at it.
When is your meeting tomorrow night?
It is tomorrow night, so
Oh.
there's no way we'll have time
No,
to
I
discuss it
don't,
tomorrow
I,